Hi all PMP aspirants, I am Pratibha and the topic which we are going to discuss today in our Agile series is extreme programming. So extreme programming is one of the most popular Agile technique uh, after Scrum, and what we are going to discuss today is what are the key features of this particular Agile technique which makes it so popular, firstly. Secondly, what we are going to discuss is what are the principles uh, of extreme programming, what are the different roles, team composition of extreme programming, and what are the core practices which this team follows, which makes it a very popular approach. So firstly, starting with what are the key aspects of extreme programming. So first aspect which I have just mentioned here is frequent features and functionality releases. So as it happens in case of Scrum, uh, the release of working software is more frequent in extreme programming than Scrum. Firstly, before even going into details of extreme programming, I would want to say that you will find many features similar to what features looks like in Scrum in extreme programming, and both these practices are similar. There are few features which makes it little different, such as test driven development approach which we have in extreme programming, that makes it little different from Scrum. But as we know that both these techniques are the Agile techniques, so you will find similarity with what Agile principles are, what techniques which we have in Agile. So similar to that, we will also find in extreme programming. So first, as they say, frequent features and functionality releases. So as we know that one of the principle in Agile also says that deliver working software to your customer as early as possible and do it frequently, and that is also one of the feature of extreme programming, where they try to deliver frequent features, release those features to their customer within a span of 2 weeks. Another thing which they say is short life cycles. So just like Scrum, even in extreme programming we have a short life cycle of sprint which comprises of 2 weeks. Third is test first development. So this is one feature which makes it unique, which is unique about extreme programming, and that is firstly, before delivering the working software to the customer, their team, the programmer, the testers, firstly test them and then give it to the customer. So this actually ensures that when the product reaches to the customer, it is bug free, it is defect free, and there are techniques such as continuous integration, refactoring, then pair programming, which helps in keeping the code very simplified, very standardized in extreme programming, and the focus is always on testing the features first, then developing them, and then finally giving it to the customer. So the principles which we have in extreme programming is what you have also seen in Agile. First feature which we have here is simplicity. So we know that in Agile also there is one principle of simplicity which says that simplicity is the art of maximizing work not getting done. So what it means is defining clearly what the requirements of the customer is, what the definition of done looks like, and when you will say that feature is complete and ready to be delivered and released to the customer. So here while you are keeping and defining your requirements in the simplistic fashion, you are also defining what is not required to be done. If you remove all those features which is redundant, or if you remove all those work which is not required to be done, if you remove that wastage, then you make your work simple. And that is what this core principle of extreme programming also caters to. Second is communication. So as we know that in Agile, communication is very important. If you are delivering your working product in every 2 weeks to the customer, then having that communication is very important within the team also and with the customer also. So communication also promotes learning and growth of the team, and that is what this feature caters to. Third is feedback. So as we know that in extreme programming, team is delivering working software very often to the customer in a span of 2 weeks. Taking the feedback is also important. So developing the features, testing them, releasing them, and taking feedback from the customer, all is being done in the span of that 2 week iteration. And receiving feedback and giving feedback, most importantly receiving those feedback positively, constructively, and able to improve basis the feedback which is given by the customer, is core to the principle of extreme programming. Next feature or next principle which we have here is courage. So as we all know that taking feedback is always not very positive thing, or a positive, it's not always taken positively. So to take that feedback positively and constructively, a lot of the team needs to be bold and courageous enough, and that is what this principle is particularly talking about, that the teams in extreme programming needs to be courageous and bold enough to take the feedback constructively, positively, and improve basis the feedback given by the customer. Fifth is respect. Just like one of the principle of Agile, self-respect and respect of the team members is very important tenet of extreme programming also. So these are main principles of extreme programming: keeping your tasks simple, keeping the communication very active, and doing the effective communication so that entire team remains on the same page, so that entire team have the shared similar understanding of what the features are and what they are going to develop, how the definition of done looks like. And it makes the team more successful also, because entire team knows what is required out of them. Taking the feedback positively and constructively from the customer, and be bold and courageous enough to take that feedback from the customer and improve basis that, and respect the team members and respect yourself is the principle of extreme programming. Now, talking about the roles which we have in extreme programming. So what I would like to say is, roles in extreme programming are also similar to what the roles in Scrum looks like. The nomenclature could be different here, but the work and the functionality which is performed by these different roles are similar to what the functionalities and what the roles are being performed by various product owner, Scrum Master, or development team in Scrum also. Just the nomenclature could be different here. So talking about the first role which we have in extreme programming is the role of a coach. Now, what is the role of a coach? So, role of a coach is similar to the role of a scrum master in a scrum is. So, we know what a scrum master does. We know that a scrum master believes in servant leadership. He is the one who is the follower of servant leadership. He is the one who is removing impediments and obstacles for the team. Scrum Master, we know, is the one who is mentoring the team, training the team, removing any obstacles or impediments whenever the team is facing. And that is what the role of coach in extreme programming is. So coach also mentors the team. He also trains the team. He also tries to remove any obstacle and impediment for the team and also for the organization through his role of facilitation and servant leadership. The role of coach also here is to let the team members grow in their individual capacity and as a team also. Now, moving to another role which we have in extreme programming is customer. So, what a customer's role is in extreme programming is the role of your product owner in Scrum is. Now, we know what is the role of a product owner. So, we know that product owner is the one who is responsible for backlog creation, refinement of the backlog. We know that a product owner is the face of the team. He is the one who engages with the end customer. He is the one who is in touch with them. He is the one who knows the requirement of the product. He is the one who actually helps the team understand the vision of the product. He is the one who sets the direction for the development team, and he is also the one who creates the product roadmap. So that is what the role of customer in extreme programming. So customer can be internal to the organization or external to the organization. So the role and functionality is similar to what a product owner does in Scrum. Now moving to the role of a programmer and a tester here. So you might feel the roles are same, which is performed by development team, but in a Scrum, development team is cross-functional and they are basically comprises of both programmers, testers, business analysts, QA. But here these two roles are different. One role is of programmer and another role is of tester. So programmer, as the name suggests, is the one who does the coding and who writes the automated codes to test the code which they are developing. And this is more like the role of a development team in a Scrum. But the role here of a coder or a programmer is different. Now another role which we have here is of tester. So testers are the one who perform the activities related to quality assurance. They are the one who test the code which is developed by these programmers. They are the one who is firstly ensuring that all the functionalities developed by these programmers are working as per the expectation of the customer. They write the codes, they test it, if they find any bug or defect, they report it to these programmers in order to get them corrected. So any functionality which is reaching in the hands of the customer first goes through this tester who ensures the quality of the code which is being developed by these programmers. So I hope the roles are clear. Coach is the one who performs the role of Scrum Master, who is the believer of servant leadership. Customer is the one who performs the role of a product owner. Programmer and testers are the two different roles here. And Programmer does the coding part, he writes the automated test, and testers are the one who does the quality assurance activities. So in case if you have not watched our previous video and are not sure about what are the roles of Scrum Master is, or what servant leadership is, or what product owner does, what the role of a development team is, then you can go and watch our previous video. I will drop the description link of all these Agile series video in the description box below. So please go and refer them in order to amplify your learning. Now, moving to core practices which the extreme programming team has. First is whole team. So, whole team should be co-located. The team of coach, customer, programmer and testers should be co-located so that osmotic communication can remain. Team can learn from each other. We know that osmotic communication also reduces the training cost of the team members. It also ensures that the entire team remains on the same page. So that is what the first practice of XP says, that the whole team should be co-located. Second is planning games. Now what are these planning games? So planning games are basically certain techniques or certain games, as the name says here, which are being played by the team to estimate the work which they are going to do into the upcoming sprint. So there are different types of planning games which the team plays. First is planning poker. There is Tshirt sizing, another technique, and the third one is affinity estimating. So we will cover them briefly today, and in our later videos we will discuss them in detail. So planning poker is an estimation technique wherein the entire team sits, a user story is presented to the team, team holds a poker card with them, and once the story is being presented to the team, they come up with their estimate to create that story or to develop that story. So the one who comes up with the lower and higher estimate are always asked of the reason of their reasoning of estimating this particular story being the lowest or highest, and this exercise is being performed till the team reaches to a consensus of what the estimation should look like for a user story. Tshirt sizing, affinity estimating is more of a relative estimation, we can say. Then so what we do in affinity estimating and Tshirt sizing is we rank the stories basis their size. Team can choose their scale. The scale could look like size of a story: small, medium, large, extra small, and basis this they will estimate the user stories which are being presented to them. So both Tshirt sizing and affinity estimating is the technique of relative estimation of the user stories, and this is a good technique to estimate large user stories or large number of user stories in a short period of time. Now third is small releases. So as we have discussed that one of the practice which extreme programming follows is release of a software, working software within a short span of 2 weeks. So entire development, then it's planning, development, it's testing, release and taking feedback. all these activities are performed within a shorter span of 2 weeks. So this actually ensures that the team gets feedback often from the customer, and they understand what the requirement of the customers are, and what is working for the customer, what is not working for them, what needs to be improved by the team. So because of the help of small releases and taking frequent feedback from the customer, uh, the XP teams are able to improve and adapt themselves as per the requirement of the customer. Fourth, very important functionality is customer test. So programmers here firstly test their code and then do the development. So as we notice that one of the key aspect which makes extreme programming very popular technique is first they test what they are going to develop and then they develop it. So that is what customer tests is also about. Firstly, team test what is required to be developed. They write some automated test code, and if those codes fail, then team knows that there is something wrong that they need to work upon and improve upon. And when that automated test codes passes, they know that they have met the requirements as per the needs of the customer. So these programmers, they also do the coding part, but they also write these automated test code. Now, fifth core practice which we have is collective code ownership. So much like how it happens in Scrum or Agile, entire team takes the responsibility of the work they are performing. So here also the ownership of the code or the work, the functionalities which is being developed by the team is uh, the entire team takes accountability of it, and that is also one of the reason that you will not see any blame game playing around within the team whenever any mistake takes place, because whenever any mistake takes place, entire team takes responsibility of it and entire team takes accountability to improve it. So that is what collective code ownership is all about. Then code standards. Another important feature of XP. Code standards is basically referring to that one person writes the code, another person reviews that code, and because of this, what happens? The team is able to ensure the good standard or good quality of the code they are writing. So one person who is writing the code, another is reviewing it. Any mistake which is happening, it can be reviewed at the same time and it can be improved upon on real time basis, and then both these people switches their role. So the another person who were reviewing the code, now he is the one who is writing the code, and the same person who was writing the code earlier now reviewing his work. So both of them keep on switching and exchanging their role. What happens through this is both the team members are able to learn from each other. So actually entire team learns from each other and improve their code practices, and that is what helps XP team to maintain the standards of their code which they are writing. Another important practice which XP team follows is sustainable pace. So this is again another principle of Agile is that team actually works on a pace as if they can work on this pace till eternity. So there are no burnouts. If the team is working for, let's say, 40 hours a week, then they always work on this sustainable pace. This avoids any overtime for any team members. So this ensures that no team member is burning out because of the excess work. or because of the overburdening of the work, and that also helps them in improving the quality of the work which they are doing. And another important thing which sustainable pace ensures is that it also helps their finance team, because they don't need to plan for the extra working hours, and it also keeps the budget of the team in place. So sustainable pace means working at a consistent rate for consistent number of hours, as if you can work on these uh, till eternity. Now, another unique feature about XP is metaphor. So what metaphor is? What metaphor says is, if any requirement is unrelatable to the team and they are not able to understand it, then always present that requirement to the team in the most simplistic manner so that they can relate to it. If I have to take an example here, so let's say if you go to a shop to buy a computer, and a shopkeeper comes to you telling you various features about the computers they have, is that, and he comes to you and uses jargons like that this computer has 8 GB RAM, it has 1 terabyte of storage space, and it uses code processor. Then uh, if you are someone who doesn't know these jargons, it will become very difficult for you to understand it. Instead of this, if this salesperson came to you and would have asked you that what are the functionalities which you are looking to have in your computer or the laptop which you are buying, then you could have told him that I want to use it for sending emails, storing images. Then he could have made you understand that the more storage space you need, the more pictures you can store into your computer. Or you can think of a processor as a brain of the computer. So some people need a processor with high IQ, some people need it with low IQ, depending upon their own needs and requirement. If the salesperson would have approached you in this way, then this would have become more easier for you to understand what he is saying. So that is what metaphor is all about, that giving such examples which is relatable, and it could create a shared understanding for entire team, and it will have an understanding which keeps the entire team on the same page. So this is what metaphor looks like. Now, another unique feature about XP, and that is continuous integration. So what continuous integration says, let's take an example. Sometimes what happens whenever a development team works on new functionality, then in order to develop new functionality, those new functionality works well, but they mess up with the existing functionality of the software, and you would not want to have it. You would not want to have a software which has these bugs. You would want to have a software whose end-to-end functionalities works well in a cohesive manner. So this is what continuous integration is all about, that whenever a team is working on new features, it shouldn't mess up the other existing feature, and the software as a whole or the product as a whole should work in cohesive manner without any bugs, without any defects, and that is what continuous integration ensures. Continuous integration ensures that the team works on the most latest release of the software, latest version of the software, and the entire functionality of the software should work well, not just one or two functionality. The next practice which we have in our list is test driven development. So as we know that XP teams write their test first and then they develop it. So they know that even if that test fails, they can improve and look upon that test and understand why that test is failing in first place, and then they can again rerun those tests until it passes. So that is what test driven development is all about. This is actually opposite to many other project management approaches where team develops first and then they test. So here extreme programming team does they test first and then they develop. So if the test passes, they know they have developed exactly what was required. So this is what test driven development is all about. Next functionality which we have in our list is refactoring. So what refactoring says is there could be many different ways of doing a thing, but doing that thing in the most simplistic manner, so that, okay, let's just take an example here. If to get from one page to another page in a software, I have to press 3 buttons. Then instead of pressing those 3 buttons, if now through this refactoring, team develops only one button through which I am able to navigate from this one page to another. So the functionality remains same, but now this functionality with the help of refactoring is working so fluidly that now just by pressing one button, I can still do the same thing. So this is what refactoring ensures, that you write your code in the most simplistic manner that makes the existing feature more fluid and more simpler. And then we come to our second last practice for XP, and that is simple design. So the idea is to give the working product to the customer in the span of 2 weeks. If more cluttered the requirements are, or if more complicated the requirements are, then there will always be more chances of having risk and failure. So that needs to be avoided by keeping the design simple. The last practice which we have is pair programming. So what pair programming says is, the one person writes the code, another person reviews it at the same point in time, and then these people again switches their role. So this is exactly pair programming is. So a real-time validation of the work which is being performed. So what happens through this? This helps in improving the efficiency of the team. More work can be delivered by those two people, and that work is also bug-free and defect-free. And this is what pair programming caters to. And it is also one of the unique feature of XP. So what we understood today is XP is more similar to Scrum, or the principles which we have is also like Agile principles. But what makes XP unique is its test first driven development approach. There are few more techniques or practices which XP team uses, such as continuous integration of their code, such as refactoring, which makes their same features more fluid, such as pair programming, such as customer test. These features makes it more of a test driven development approach. The codes which you develop through this extreme programming approach are more simpler, are more bug free, and it gives you a more defect free work. And that is why extreme programming is very popular technique for software development. And One thing which we need to understand being a PMP aspirant is that extreme programming and Scrum are two most important agile methodologies which you need to learn about, and their applications are always being tested into the exam. So please understand them thoroughly and then try to answer your questions. I hope you like today's video, and please do keep sharing your feedback with me. Thank you so much.